Hello there, my name's Dave Graham. I need to just give a little introduction to myself. As a 4-year-old boy, I had a period of missing time, which was with a group of extraterrestrial beings, a variety of different beings that I went missing for, and I was discovered asleep on the grass in a place where my brother and my father had already been looking. Anyway, that happened when I was 4 years old, and something similar happened when I was 19 years old as well. And we go on. One of the interesting things is that a lot of those memories got forgotten or suppressed, and until they came out again later in life. Um, Time I was getting into my 40s, I was getting to a pretty low ebb, and I was having a lot of suicidal thoughts. Um, Fortunately, I went for counselling, and things started to change over a period of a few months, to the point where I was beginning to sort of uh, look forward to the day, not wake up in the morning with that sense of dread anymore. And so things started to change, and then just as that was occurring, I went for a Reiki session and a Reiki attunement, which was quite foreign to me. Up until that point, I've been quite skeptical over many uh, issues or alternative ways of working, and to the point of being cynical in some cases. I went for a Reiki attunement, and following that, I just got the bells and whistles, so to speak. I was seeing beautiful, beautiful imagery as I shut my eyes. My body was tingling all over, and this went on for weeks and weeks and weeks. It was a very strong experience, but it left me with facing the thought that either I'm going quite mad, yet it feels so good, or my previous worldview of myself and the world out there was um, I got it all pretty wrong. And so, in a sense, it was a spiritual awakening for me. I moved on and I became, I got further attunements in Reiki. I became a Reiki master. I trained to be a hypnotherapist and then a regression therapist. There's lots of stories along the way. And in training to be a regression therapist, I began working with people with uh, particular issues. Often we go to childhood, or often we go to past lives. Occasionally, some would go to a life that would appear to not be on planet Earth. And these were curious to me. And so I began exploring those and becoming more and more curious about them. Indeed, along the way, I had my own regression to my first incarnation on planet Earth, and within that session, I was aware of myself on some kind of spacecraft with a couple of extraterrestrial beings alongside me. We were all studying a screen on the wall. A bit later within that session, I became aware of myself in what I described as a pod full of wallpaper paste, some kind of thick gel that I was in. And again, later in the same session, I found myself on the surface of the planet amongst nature, looking up at the sky and seeing hundreds of crafts. And many of those crafts had light beams coming down to the surface of the planet from the underside of the craft. And within those light beams, when I focused, you could see bodies moving down. So, so these are some of my own personal experiences, or an outline of some of my own personal experiences that um, instigated a lot of interest in the relationship between humanity and extraterrestrial beings. Um, it got to a point where, as a regression therapist, I held a survey amongst colleagues, a worldwide survey amongst colleagues. Um, we were inquiring about experiences with clients having experiences with extraterrestrial beings. That was in 2019, and shortly after I completed that, one of the things that I didn't really understand is how come I'm so interested in this? And then I met a friend who I described what I've been doing to her, and she responded, "Oh, I've had missing time." And so I arranged to have a session with her. And she was quite a gifted spiritual medium. And when we had this session with her, she, within seconds of going into this, before we actually got into a regression to try to understand what had happened there, she started saying, "We are Arcturian." And when I asked, well, thank you. Well, how come you are here? And they explained that they were responsible for the missing time experienced by my friend. I asked if my friend had Arcturian heritage in any way. Yes, and I asked, do I have Arcturian heritage in any way? Yes. This was at the outset of COVID. The pandemic was spreading and restrictions and movements were spreading around the country. I'm Um, I'm English, I'm based in England, but it's also spreading around the world around that time. And towards the end of the session with my friend, with these Arcturian beings that came in, they said, please don't overlook your own missing time. And that led me to recall the events as a 4-year-old boy. So that gives a sort of idea of what motivates me to follow my interest in this. Since then, for the last, well, we're in 2025 now, for the last 5 years, I've hosted many channeling sessions. And within those channeling sessions, it's not too unusual for us to connect with extraterrestrial beings and gain insight into what seems to be happening on planet Earth, what seems to be happening with humanity, what seems to be happening with them, and what is their interest in them. And so I explore that more and more now, and I host various Zoom sessions and so on about this. So that gives a basis of what I'm about and what makes me do some of the things I do. Thank you.